and welcome to your bi-weekly parliamentary program. House Connect gives you a relief of the happenings at the National Assembly and the Senate. The bills scrutinized and adopted by the 9 general committees, the open debates in plenary, the queries of the lawmakers, and the prompting responses of members of government. It also zooms in on parliamentary networking and also gives you an opportunity to know who your parliamentarian is in our auto profile. Don't go away, we'll be right back in a jiffy. The Canada-Africa Parliamentary Association is resolute on changing the tides of relations between Cameroon and Canada. Their best bet is to meet the House Speaker of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable KAWEB, and the Senior Vice President of the Senate, Abubakar Abdullahi. Get details of what their deliberations were and in also other events where the speakers featured.
The House of Commons of Canada is seeking to strengthen its relations with Cameroon's National Assembly for the collective interests of their peoples who have shared values. The Africa-Canada Parliamentary Association members, in an exchange with the House Speaker, the Right Honorable KAWEB, are certain to meet their target as they find in him a trusted ally.
Canada and Cameroon are two bilingual countries, and we have a really good relation since more than 60 years now. And we discuss about those ties between Cameroon and Canada. We discussed again also about the diversity.
Although the Senate of Canada is constituted of 105 members who are appointed and hold their seats till 75, with the Senior Vice President of the Senate, Abubakar Abdullahi, their common role to consider and to revise legislation was spotlighted.
It was a great occasion for us to discuss about parliamentary work, how we work as parliamentarians in our country. So it was a real enlightening conversation. It gives good promise for the future of our relations between our two countries.
The grievances also expressed by CPDM members of the National Assembly from the Northwest region on the numerical prowess of the region in parliamentary instances and the staff strength in the lawmaking institution was looked into by the House Speaker. The Right Honorable KAWEB reassured the lawmakers and enjoined them to be fully engaged in the scrutiny of the 2024 state budget for the exclusive interests of the population, to get hold of parliamentary work and the functioning of the institution. The House Speaker chaired the first Bureau meeting of the 3rd ordinary session of the legislative year. The outcome was the appointment of a new clerk of the institution through a Bureau order. Andre Noel Esian is commissioned into office by the Senior Deputy Speaker, Honorable Elarion Iton. He was urged to respect the National Assembly Bureau led by the House Speaker, to collaborate with all lawmakers, and to empower the administrative personnel.
Cameroon is seeking ways to boost its industrialization, and the mining sector is one in which, if properly managed, can trigger growth. The mining code introduced by governments in parliaments put members of the National Assembly to work. In all, it was 7 hours of heated discourse.
The state of Cameroon has a strong desire to make its mining sector attractive, competitive, and financially profitable. The solution for now rests on reviving the 2016 law establishing the mining code.
In every country, the natural resources of a nation are all bonded and given to the President of the Republic to be the incarnator, to preserve it on behalf of the nation. So when he comes out and says this project should start, we must be the soldiers to execute his instructions.
The 200th section bill, scrutinized by the Production and Trade Committee of the National Assembly and the Senate, triggered a number of preoccupations.
SUNAMIN has been given the exclusive right to sell gold and diamond throughout the territory. Is there for another corporation or company that is given the right to sell those aspects internationally?
By combining production sharing with the state participation in the share capital of mining companies, are we sure that the state interest has been sufficiently taken care of?
For the government to ensure a faithful implementation of transformational mining projects, reforms are imperative.
We gave birth to SUNAMIN. We believe that this baby will grow and will start to look for the necessary resources to buy gold in the artisanal sector, in the semi-mechanized sector, and in the industrial sector, in the petit mine sector, all the permits that you know.
The bill states that regional and local authorities shall henceforth be responsible for managing artisanal activities, but the lawmakers question the clauses.
The code has completely removed decentralized units from the mining sector, which was not the case before. It's trying to centralize everything around the government of Cameroon, and I think we are supposed to go towards decentralization.
We see in that new code important innovation, notably in the domain of protection of national investors and the state also. The state should have at least 30% that will be beneficial for our country.
Development of non-mining activities to local concerns. How will it happen? Very simple. If you go to any place in the East where gold is being produced, you will find that inside the mayor's office, since about 6 months, there is a collaborator from the Ministry of Mines sitting with him. And I did even say to the mayors, why not even, if you are in a place where you know that this activity is great, hire people, train them. With tax ad valorem that the council will have, they can train experts in their councils to see into mining matters. 800 million was paid to councils in the East from all these haphazard activities. It was there in the old code. We are only saying that we are assuring you that that part has not been changed. Quarries will now be 35% ownership by Cameroonians. Well, somebody said, how far are we sure that Cameroonians can be there? I'm sure that if Cameroonians group themselves into very viable businesses, they will take 35% in the Pozolan and in the other sectors.
The interests of the local population and the benefits derived from mining equally came to the fore.
How does the new law address the issue of restoring mining sites to make sure that those mining sites after the exploitations are restored so that other activities can take place?
What concrete measures, in real terms, is the state intending to put in place to stop children working in mines? How is the state intending to effectively help these children integrate into activities of their age?
The bill provides for regulations that ensure mining is done within well-closed systems that do not harm the environment and do not attract child labor.
There's a law within the ministry which prohibits child labor, but there are so many laws is violated. Because what happens is that it's not the companies that take the children. When the companies have finished in a site and left, the villagers go there to take advantage of what was left. That's when children get into the project. First of all, only 30 to 40% of the gold is extracted. The rest is waste. That's why when the companies leave, the villagers go there to wash again, but they will still find gold. We have even adopted transitional measures. In the East today, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot be doing a mining operation when you are not at the same time repairing the environment. So we have put it as a condition that while you are working, you must be covering back the places you are working. If not, the project is closed. And you must choose a social project amongst 5: energy, schools, health, public works. The population will be the one to choose through the mayor what they want. And you have to do that.
The lawmakers expect mining companies to fulfill their social responsibilities to the communities.
We want them to build schools for children to attend. We want them to build hospitals so that those who are sick can be treated in it. We want them to help us to even construct roads.
The state remains hopeful that the adoption of the mining code and its promulgation into law will significantly contribute to national wealth creation and development.
We see us working under the instructions of the head of state, from transiting from a potential nation to a mining nation with a new tool to increase the benefits, the gross domestic product of the country in the mining sector.
Our guest on today's edition of House Connect is Honorable Oliver Ago. He is CPDM member of the National Assembly for Mezam North. He is also member of the Committee on Resolutions and Petitions. Hello, Honorable. It's our pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on House Connect.
You are on your first mandate and you're involved in quite a number of activities. As member of the Committee on Resolutions and Petitions, it's true that you haven't really had time to sit as a committee since the beginning of this legislative period. But you've been doing quite a lot of work at the level of parliamentary networks. One of those which are important is the Parliamentarian Global Action. You are the chair for Cameroon. What have you been up to in that association?
When I was elected to Parliament in 2020, I told myself that this is a platform that I need to stand on and create constituency impact, regional impact, national and international impact. And one of those parliamentary networks that gave me that were there to enable me fulfill my desires and aspirations is Parliamentarians for Global Action. And recently we had a national parliamentary session on the nuclear security, which I want to use the opportunity to thank the Right Honourable Speaker of the National Assembly for approving, supporting and making sure that the session took place well here in Yaoundé.
What was your focus during that seminar?
The seminar was on was to sensitize members of the National Assembly on the legal instruments that Cameroon need to take in order to complete its full engagement in the fight against nuclear terrorism. And we're interested to know that Cameroon has demonstrated good faith in ratifying most of the international conventions that deal with nuclear security. But one, the International Convention for the Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism has not yet been ratified by Cameroon.
You're also a member of the Parliamentary Network on the World Bank and the IMF for Sustainable Development. What have been your activities here in Cameroon and abroad?
In April, there was the World Bank IMF Spring Meetings in Washington, which I had the opportunity to attend. And during this program, I made 2 interventions. One on the fight against corruption in Cameroon, which was one of the topics under review, and second, on the involvement of the World Bank in the full operationalization of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Let's begin to talk about corruption first. What is your take on the fight against corruption in Cameroon?
In 1998 and 1999, Cameroon was classified as the most corrupt country in the world. After this, the head of state, President Paul Biya, put in place several structures that deal with corruption.
Government is doing quite a lot, but what would you say are some of the reasons why corruption still thrives in Cameroon?
Corruption in our context is endemic, but fighting is the process. It's not an event. For us to completely wipe out corruption from Cameroon, we have to go to the root at the level of our educational system. Fighting corruption is not the issue of government alone. It is your issue, it is my issue, and that of every citizen of this country.
Human trafficking is another issue that is of prime interest to you. What's your experience in that domain?
I had the opportunity to attend the Global Leaders Summit on Human Trafficking in London, organized by Interparliamentary Task Force on Human Trafficking. And I was compelled to do this because in recent years, the United States Department published its annual report on human trafficking and pointed out that Northwest, where I come from, Bamenda, One of the, where my constituency is found, was a center and origin for human trafficking. A lot of areas were identified on the fight on this area, and one of them was to increase identification.
You also took part in the African regional workshop on cybercrime, cybersecurity.
Two things were under review. The Budapest Convention on Cybercrime and Cybercriminality, which is the initiative of the Council of Europe, and the Malabo Convention. And unfortunately, our country has not yet ratified any of these two conventions. It gave me the knowledge that we need in order to push our government to ratify this convention.
You've also worked on internet governance, but then how much of a reality is it in Cameroon, where we know sometimes how epileptic even the internet connection is?
Some of us who experienced internet shutdown in the northwest and southwest during the early days of the crisis had it as a burden to understand how internet works. The internet architecture involves many stakeholders, and so it is not only the issue of the government, but it is the issue of the civil society, it is the issue of members of parliament, and it is the issue of the citizens in the country.
Now, when one listens to you, one may have the impression that Honorable Oliver Ago is all over the place except in his constituency. Use this opportunity to tell us what you've been up to at the level of your constituency, which is Mezam North in the Northwest region.
Thank you very much. Mezam North is method of Tuba and Bafut, and immediately I went to Parliament. I kept to the promise that I made to the population of my constituency, and that was to provide roofing sheet. I provided over 2,000 roofing sheet to families in Tuba and in Bafut. I've accompanied most of the cultural development association in my constituency. I was at the Bambui Women Cultural and Development Association. I was at Njibujang Water Project. When the Bambili had the giant water project, I was there, and I gave them financial assistance. Have
you been able to do these things so easily given the security crisis that is in your region?
When you have the intention of doing good, do not be afraid. God is with you. God is leading you, and God is guiding you.
We're going to wrap up this interview with your recent designation as a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. That's about a week ago. What is your vision?
It gives me the opportunity to say something a bit about Commonwealth.
And its values.
And its values for Cameroon, Africa, and the world. It's one of those organizations that Cameroon belongs to that gives opportunity to the youth in the domain of scholarship, in the domain of community project, in the domain of local governance.
Thank you, Honorable, for being our guest on House Connect today. But before we leave you, your last words?
My last word should be, should call on the youth of this country to be hopeful, hardworking, and very determined, because the future is very bright. Because if God has given some of us the opportunity to be able to where we are today, it is very obvious that that opportunity can be given to every youth in our country.
Honorable Oliver Ago, the guest on House Connect. Thanks for being with us. A woman born in a modest family who sailed through education and has a rich professional career. Her zeal to impact her community and to promote development from where she comes from pushed her to join politics. Honorable Prudencia Injo is our profile on House Connect.
I'm called Honorable Injo Fungang Prudencia Awa, Member of Parliament for Momo East, Mbengui constituency. I hail from Meta in Momo Division. Precisely, I'm from Jinebi, and I'm married in Bemi, a neighboring village in Mbengui Central Subdivision. I'm a mother of 4, 2 boys and 2 girls. Honorable Angel Fungang Prudencia was born on the 12th of February 1966 in Kuba. I did my primary education in St. Anthony's School, Boya Road, Kumba. I furthered my secondary education in Government Technical High School in Kumba, where I did administrative techniques. I also continued in the University of Yaoundé in the Faculty of Economics and Law, where I did English private law. While I was schooling, With my technical background, I was lucky amongst my peers to have gained employment in the Ministry of Higher Education. I worked in the Department of Scholarship. I was promoted to the Minister's Cabinet. I further was transferred to the Department of Higher Education. While in higher education, I gained admission in the Advanced Teacher Training College in the Department of Guidance and Counseling. I was posted in the University of Yaoundé 2, where I worked as a guidance counselor in Yaoundé 2 in Soa. I was later transferred to Lycée Technique in Bamenda. From there, I was appointed as Chief of Service in the Regional Delegation of Employment and Vocational Training. I moved to the position of the Regional Inspector of Training. I was promoted at the helm of the Regional Delegation as the Regional Delegate of Employment and Vocational Training. I gained a Koika scholarship where I studied in the Korean Development Institute School of Public Policy and Management, where I obtained a master's degree in public policy, concentration, entrepreneurship and private education. Honorable Angel likes to interact. I'm always happy when I interact with people. And I'm very glad when I'm able to change the situation of somebody's life. And again, I like singing. I like to go to church. I like to participate in my church group. I've been an active member in the Christian Women Fellowship of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. I served as the treasurer of my group. From there, I rose to the position of the president, and I was also elected as an elder in my congregation. Coming to the Meta Cultural and Development Association, I'm very involved when it comes to developmental issues as well as cultural issues. Coming back to my own village, Mbemi, I've been the Vice National President of Mbemi Cultural and Development Association. What took me into politics is the fact that I've been working with my people. I've been reaching out to the people. My people encouraged me. In the last election of 2020, that was how I was elected as a member of parliament for Momo East Mbengui constituency. I wrote a project to alleviate poverty in my constituency. It was all about giving the old chicks to the young people so they can nurse it, they can keep it through the byproducts, the drop-ins, they can get into agro-pastoral activity. Besides that, I also went around with the feed for the old chicks, the drinkers, the feeders to give the people. I also went along with agricultural equipments, huge generators to enable the community that was always having shortage of electricity. My divisional head, the Minister of Supreme State Audit, Minister Amba Acha Rose Fomunda, I worked very closely with her in the realization of great projects in my constituency. That was how in Achatugi we gave out basic commodities. We also gave out farm inputs such as fertilizer, and we gave out improved seeds to the women of that community. I organized a successful career fair. The career fair brought together thousands of youths in my constituency, youths, teachers and parents who came about for guidance and counseling, professional orientation. I lobbied with the Ministry of Water Resources and Energy to see that some villages in my constituency that have been in darkness for a very long time should also have electricity. In the Ngembo, people are even soliciting for a municipal fish pond, which will look at it to be very productive. It's a project that can produce 12,000 tons of fish. So my interest is to ensure that I take my constituency to a level better than I met it.
And that's where we wrap up this edition of House Connect, your insights into parliamentary activities, where we focused on the mining code, which took 7 hours to be adopted at the level of the National Assembly. Our next rendezvous is in a fortnightly. Till then, goodbye.